This guy. Thanks for the warm welcome, everyone. Most of you already know me. I've been a member of the club now for several months. My name is Drew. I participated in many roles through that time, but I've never given my icebreaker speech, so that's what I'm here to do this evening. The reason I joined Toastmasters is that I work for Boeing and I'm in supplier management, and in my role I have to communicate with very diverse audiences, anywhere from executive level people to flight line guys, to HR, to finance, to engineers, to you name it, but primarily mostly with suppliers. And each supplier is very different organization, different people, and it's important for me to be able to communicate effectively with these diverse groups and meet these people exactly where they need to be met. And so far Toastmasters has been able to help me with that, and I hope that it will continue to be able to do so. That said, that's not exactly what I'm here to talk about tonight. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and I don't think we have any welcome guests, but to the newest member. Several years ago, maybe two and a half years ago, I watched a movie. I'm not going to tell you what movie it was because it's not important, but there was a quote in the movie that stayed with me, and the quote was this: "Man knows no more of what's happening to him than the birds know of the air that they're flying through." And this stayed with me, and I got to thinking about it, and what does it mean to me? And it may mean something different to you, but to me it means, no matter how bad a situation gets, and no matter how much I let my perceived fears to kind of hedge in, I need to not do that. I need to not rely on my own understanding. Similar to these birds, I don't know what's happening. I don't always know everything that's happening, and I need to not sink into despair. I need to remain hopeful. So that's kind of what that meant to me. So keep that in your mind, just to remain hopeful and not be hedged in by your fears. Moving on. When I was in school, I went to Central Washington University, which is in Eastern Washington, and about 30 minutes west of Central on I-90 is a little town called Cleon, where I lived. And a little bit more into the woods is an old mining town called Roslyn. And even further into the woods is another old mining town called Ronda. And even further into the woods is this old mining building, which is now no one uses it. It's falling apart. Nature is slowly starting to reclaim this building, and my friends and I used to climb up on this building in the warm summers and just drink beer, right? That's what we would do, and talk about guy stuff. And so one of these evenings when we're in this building, on top of the building, we come up with this idea that we're gonna corral some friends from school that aren't familiar with the area and bring them up here on a warm night and get them to go in the building. We're just gonna scare ourselves just for the fun of it, right? Because that's what dumb college kids do. So my role in this is to be the cowboy and corral these guys from school. And my friend Jesse's role is to be laying in wait behind the building. So when I have these people in the building, he's going to do something to scare them. So that's the plan. So I go to school and I'm successfully able to corral about five people, including my little brother Peter, who's going to school with me. And they're down. They're down to go up to this building and be scared for no reason other than to be out in the woods at night in the dark. And so the night comes for us to go up there. Jesse's laying in wait behind the building for him. He's already up there. His car is hidden. And I pile everybody into my car, and I drive the most circuitous route that I possibly can to get to this old building. So I go through the old part of Roslyn, which is kind of like a ghost town because the mining industry has left in these towns and has somewhat become stagnant. So I go through the old Roslyn, through the old cemetery with like the trees that look like this, and the tombstones that are all leaning, and there's actually a lot of creepy stuff up there. If you ever find yourself in Roslyn, check out the cemetery. So the idea with going through this circuitous route is to kind of create this sense for the people in the car that we're getting further and further away from civilization, getting out of cell phone service, getting away from help should we need help. Not that we plan on needing help, but we're going to scare ourselves, and it's always nice to know help is there, but I want them to feel that they're getting very far away from it. So on the way up, I start to also feed them these anecdotes, if you will, or stories that kind of Halloween is made of, that they're not scary in and of themselves, but when you kind of put it, you sum it with the environment that we're in, it starts to kind of create a disquieting atmosphere. It starts to damage their sense of calm, right? So I tell them that when I'm up at this building with my friends drinking, we've seen in the back corner of the building a chain hanging with like a little girl's dress from just ridiculous stuff, but it starts to scare them, and I can feel the tension in the car. So we park, and I park a ways away from the building, once again, to create that sense that we're getting very far away. So we walk through the woods. So we're walking, maybe 10 minutes, and our eyes start to adjust to the darkness, and we're in the trees. And I can feel that I'm starting to get scared. I know what's happening, and I know what's happening. I know what's happening, but I'm still getting scared. I can feel it. I can only imagine where these guys that are with me, how they're feeling, right? So after about 10 minutes of walking, we start to see the building looming out of the darkness. And as we walk around it, we're kind of quiet. You're quiet in environments like that. You don't want to attract unwanted attention for some reason. So we're whispering and talking about the building. We walk around the front of the building, and there's this big door. And so now that our eyes have adjusted to the darkness, we're looking in this door. And I mean, this door is big. It's maybe 30 feet wide by 20 feet tall. It's like a big loading door, right? And it's completely pitch black. It's like staring into the abyss, which we know we're about to enter, and we're not sure why we're going to do that. We're not sure why we're there. And already 2 of the 4 members of the group decided not going in, which, I mean, they're terrified. I'm scared and I know what's going on. They're terrified, and quite frankly, it's probably safer not to walk into an old building like that at night, without lights or anything like that. So they stay outside, and only 4 of us go in. So we're about 4, we're 4 wide abreast walking in, and we're picking our steps, right? There's about 2 or 3 feet of space in between us. So we're kind of doing that thing where you reach out and touch your friend, everybody's kind of touching their friend, like a little bit, and occasionally speaking to each other, but not a whole lot. It's really quiet. We're picking our steps, just walking into this building. You can just feel, that heavy, oppressive, quiet darkness. And I'm terrified. Imagine what we're going through. So, as we get into this building, I think I hear Jesse make a sound in the back of the building. So I say, everybody stop, quiet. I think I heard something. So we all stop. And seconds tick. And you know what? The only thing that you can hear is your own heartbeat in your throat, right? So we're all listening just seconds. And then right on cue, almost like he was watching us, Jesse moves this old door in the back of the building. It's just this little rusty metal on metal sound creak. So silent. And then creak. Now, it was like Chernobyl, like meltdown. I could feel just the fear washing over me. And these guys, terrified. But here's what happened. My brother, who was in the building, did what I think is like the universal sign, and I'd never seen it up to this point, I just saw it in movies, but I think he lost all hope, and the universal sign for losing all hope is a scream, an involuntary scream, and hands in the air and running. He turned his back on the danger, the perceived danger, and ran back out of the building, screamed with his hands in the air. And I laugh, but I'm terrified. I go back out, and he's shaking, and the other of us we're okay. We're like, what happened there? We need to figure it out. My brother thought he was going to die. He thought that was it, that his life was going to end that night, and his response was to throw his hands in the air and scream. So Jesse comes around the building, we tell him what happened. My brother's successfully embarrassed. Great night for me, big win. With that said, what can we learn? Like, what can be learned from Peter in this dark night, my little brother Peter, several years ago? And I think it's just this. Like the birds, he didn't know what was happening to him. He thought he knew. He let the fear hedge him in. And he lost his hope. He lost it. He completely slipped into despair. And I think we can all keep from doing that. We can remember Peter. We can remember the quote. We can keep from doing that. You can't learn that. At least learn this. If I ever ask you to go in the woods at night, pass on the opportunity.